Today, we are diving into Dark Winds, Season 3, Episode 4. Welcome to Screens in Focus, the podcast where we talk about TV and movies. I'm Diana. Renee is here. Hi, Renee. How are you?
Hello, I am doing really well. Excited to dive into the episode. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I am equally excited. We will run down Dark Winds and then we will give our recommendations. And the reason I'm saying that is because I'm really excited to get to a couple of yours to see what you've watched and what you think. So stay tuned for our recommendations. But right now we're going to get to our question of the day. And so I'm going to pose this to our friends out there and you, Renee, and then we're going to answer it later on in the episode. So our question of the day is, what is more dangerous? Supernatural forces, an FBI agent closing in, or Budge DeBaca coming after you? All right.
Good
so
question.
I have some thoughts and we're going to answer it later on. And we're probably going to talk about some of that during this episode. So Renee, so much happened. We had talked about this being episode 4 and it being the halfway point. So what were your overall thoughts on the episode?
I thought it was another excellent episode, and I've said that all season. I'll continue to say it, I'm sure. But again, I just feel like they keep building on this and making it better and better. This one, we have exciting new developments. Joe's feeling that pressure from Washington. His marriage is affected by his choices now. He's getting hit from all these angles and all this stuff. And I guess I felt like this episode created more questions than it answered.
True. So true. And that's what I love, though. And I liked how this episode started off with that red truck and a chase and a fire and all of this stuff happening. And then it ends with a death, a really bloody death. And it's interesting because it started off with Michael Halsey and it ends with Michael Halsey. So I thought that was kind of interesting to begin and end with him. So I thought that was kind of a cool concept for the episode. But it's like, wow, okay, so somebody or something wants him silenced one way or another. All right. So what were some key points to you that happened in this episode?
Well, I think Washington's a big thing. She's relentless in her search. She's got a job to do. She wants to be able to take this back and say, hey, I solved it. She knows that Joe's involved. She doesn't have the concrete proof, but she's really pressing him. And again, that's another thing coming at him that's just completely affecting every part of him. And then, again, his marriage, then it's trickling down to that where he's asking his wife to now lie for him. So, but I just think, Washington, she's just waiting for that little piece that she's going to put it together. I just think she's a big thing in this episode. A lot of developments there for her.
Yeah, because we did see, it's like each episode we see her a little bit more. And now she's getting really close with that whole interrogation that she did. And then I kept wondering, is he going to translate differently than what he says? And does she know the language somehow? We don't know it. Or is she going to take that tape recorder that she was taping it and take it to someone else and say, well, what did they say? I mean, all these things are going through my head and I'm all, Joe, don't screw up. Keep it together, man. Keep it together, So I was so worried. And then when she waits for him outside and the car leaves, was that Gordo at the time? I believe Gordo was parked right in the middle of them. He takes off.
Yeah, because he told him to go home. Yep, it was him.
Yeah. And then she's sitting in there and she's all looking at him. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. And so she's watching him and then he has to get out of the car and talk to her. And she goes, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you. She asks him and he says, I was home with my wife. At some point he was. He's not lying completely. He gets there at some point.
You didn't say what time.
Yeah, exactly. But she doesn't go immediately check. She waits. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
Was that tactical? I don't know. So
I think she's pretty smart. So we'll see what her angle is there.
I did comment on Jenna Elfman's her post, and she responded. I said, I really don't want Joe to get in trouble, but you're doing a really good job on this show. And she said, I know what you mean, because as Jenna, I don't want him to get in trouble either. So it was really funny.
That's awesome. Yeah, she's always really good at like interacting with people. So that's really fun.
Yeah. It was fun. I wasn't expecting it. I just had to give my 2 cents. But because she had the clip of, I think when she says, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you the question. And so it was a good clip. So it's so hard. It's so hard. We had talked about it last week about this is her job. This is what she has to do. She's not really a bad person, but you still don't want Joe to get in trouble. You don't want Joe to go to jail. And that mounting conflict between him and Emma is just so hard to deal with. That is so bad.
Yeah, it's gut-wrenching to watch these two go through that. They've already been through so much with their losing their son and everything else they have to deal with. And then now they've got marriage trouble, and it's difficult to watch because you just want them to be okay.
Yeah. What else stood out to you?
Well, it's like, Halsey and that whole murder, that was insane. That was like very unexpected. The whole time I worry about Joe with all this wind and these things happening, the lights flickering, all this stuff happening. I'm like watching Joe like, oh no, and not thinking that anything was going to happen to the poor guy in the jail cell.
I know.
But my thing is, so if it has to be a what? Because how could a who escape the jail and get in and out that quick? I mean, Joe wasn't gone that long where they could have snuck in and got in the jail cell. And so, but I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that's so hard. I mean, I know, right? We're like, oh, is it supernatural? Is it not? Okay, so they allude to it like it is supernatural, right? Because Joe's out there and you hear the howling out there, or he's already freaked out with the stupid lights going off and on. But it is kind of interesting that the lights went out, because a supernatural person wouldn't need, would they? Joe to really leave? I don't know.
I hear what you're saying. It just
I was thinking this is Budge or somebody.
Very well could be, because he needs to tie up those loose ends.
Just come in. After he told him good luck. And I honestly, when he said that, at that moment, at the beginning, I didn't think he meant good luck with the cops or good luck with, I really think he meant with Spencer and what is going to happen to you now, because you guys didn't do what you were supposed to do, and you're loose ends now. And so
I wonder if Budge would have time. It's an 8-hour trip. Would he have had time?
Six with the lead foot.
Yeah. But if
I'm only saying that because she said that. So.
I know. I love that. I thought that was so funny because, that was just, he's like, no, it's no big deal. But I mean, like, a normal person driving would take him 8 hours. And would he have, even 6 hours? I guess I'm not sure what time the beginning of the day it all started. And then you're at night. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I think it could have been because it was morning or at least afternoon time. And now it seemed pretty dark.
Yeah, pretty late. So I don't know. Yeah, if anybody did it would make sense that it was Budge.
Well, or they just sent somebody.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't Budge, but maybe they sent their people, whoever that is.
Yeah.
Because we still don't know who killed Ernesto.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true. Somebody's there killing people.
Or one of the farmers that hasn't left yet. I mean, it could be anybody. We haven't met everybody yet, maybe. Yeah. So,
and then it was interesting how now we know for sure all the cases are interconnected. Everything's, but there's no like concrete evidence to make it stick anywhere. They got a little bit over here, a little bit over there, and it makes sense that it all fits. And we all suspected that somehow it did. But now now what do they do? Obviously they're going to keep investigating, but it's just a lot of information, but nothing substantial to make anything stick to anybody, to Spencer or to Budge or to, whoever else is involved.
But that's where it all comes in, right? So I think this is why it's the midpoint, and now we're going to get to find all of that out, or they're going to just dig a little deeper. But I love Chee coming and the way that he and Bernadette were bouncing off each other and sharing the knowledge that they have and coming up with a plan. I thought it was so interesting because Bern said, "Oh, I thought it was human trafficking." And they thought, "Oh, but it's probably drugs." And I thought that was so, I don't know. I just thought that was a really good way to show the investigation, because sometimes your first thought isn't quite correct because you got to figure it out or navigate it. So it's not like, oh, this is human trafficking and that's all it is and that's what we learn. But no, I love that it can evolve and change and they're following the clues and putting things together. Also, the other thing that I'm thinking, when they actually went over the border to Mexico when he took her to dinner, when Budge took Bernadette. Here I thought they were just going to some private place. I'm like, why are they going through a gate? But that's because that is so 70s, right? The way that you get across to another country. It's not it's not the same. I'm sure that's still a backdoor way. That isn't the regular way that anyone else would go. But so it's just all these like pieces coming together and how they thought about the oil, and she lets the truck go by and she says, "Oh, maybe they're putting coke inside these trucks, and maybe not every truck, just some truck." So I just love watching them kind of do their investigation right before us. I thought that was a really cool thing.
And then my other thought was, how does the dig site connect? You got all these things connecting. It's like that's still hanging out there. So I can't wait to find out what that has to do with anything, because they're going to come back to it somehow. But it'll be really interesting to see how.
I noticed how that wasn't in this also. I thought, oh, why isn't that in this one?
Yeah.
When is that going to come back and play a part? All right, let's talk about Chee and Bernadette and Ivan. What do you think about those three?
So I have a lot of trouble. Like, I like Chee and Bernadette as coworkers. I love how they work together and all that, kind of like you were talking about, talking through things. And I just don't feel like they fit as a couple very well. I guess it's hard for me to get excited about them as a couple because they never seem that excited. I mean, like the whole time it was like, okay. I don't know. I guess I feel like with her and Ivan, it's been more natural. It feels a little more like, I like you, you like me kind of thing. And so it's just, I thought this, the previous season where I felt like it was almost forced, like, oh, we better throw a romantic connection in here. And it's hard to say what'll happen next. But right now I like her and Ivan. But then my other question is, do we trust him yet, though?
Yeah, I don't know. And okay, so if he's a good guy, I do like him, but, and I hear what you're saying about Chee and Bernadette. I can understand what you're saying there. I guess I probably kind of sense that too, but I don't know. I still like Chee and her. I think that they should be together, but do I see sparks flying? No, not really, but I just feel like there is a connection between them, and I really do want to see that where that goes between them. But when they showed Ivan come up when they were out, I thought, who is somebody going to get, was she going to get mad, jealous? And I like that they weren't, like, neither one was jealous of the other. They were regarding each other just as, coworkers, although she was a little taken aback by her description of their relationship, because she goes, "Oh, this is someone I used to work with, my old coworker," and he kind of looks at her like, "What? That you're diminishing our relationship to that?"
He was a little more than that.
Yeah. So I think he was, a little bit hurt by that. Also, side note, I had read somewhere that that those two had acted together in Twilight.
Oh, yeah, because I know Alex Moraz, he was in, the guy that plays Ivan, he was in Twilight. Yeah.
So they both had played in Twilight. And I guess, what is Bernadette's? Is it
Jessica?
Jessica. I knew it started with a J. Jessica had recommended him for the part because she says, oh, wouldn't that be so cool? Because they acted together in that film. So he should be in this series. And so that's how that came about. So I thought that was a cool thing to
I like
yeah.
him. I've seen him. I didn't watch Twilight, not a fan, but that's just whatever. But he's in The Walking Dead. He was in Landman too. He did a good job there too. So it's been fun to watch his progress.
He's in Landman. I didn't notice it.
He's the drug guy, like that. Yeah, with Billy Bob. Yeah, the one that comes to him, and
he is probably because I didn't realize at that point.
He looks, so the funny thing is with him, like when I first saw, because I knew he was cast in this and I saw pictures and I was like, is that him? He usually has some sort of facial hair, little mustache or something. And he's for those people who it's like a, Clark Kent taking off his glasses thing. You put a beard on this, or any type of facial hair. He looks completely different. I mean, he looks like such a different person. So I can see where you're like, what? So look at him in other things and look at him with this nice, clean shaven face. And it's like, oh my gosh, he's two different people.
Yeah.
So yeah, little side note there.
Yes, I love it. I'll have my eye out.
Him and his roles and things that he's gotten recently and stuff.
Cool. That's great. I love it. I love it when we see characters that we like. So now that makes me like him even more. So he just better turn out to be a good guy.
We're gonna root for him. He's got to be a good guy. Because her boss definitely seems like the bad guy.
Yeah, exactly. Although I am a little bit suspicious of the female Border Patrol girl. I'm like, maybe you're the person, because I think we all thought, oh, it's the guy, right? Yeah. He's doing it. I mean, it could be the boss too, but the fact that she told her, keep it between us. And she was very convincing. She didn't seem suspicious, but I thought sometimes when it's the person that you don't think it's going to be. So
yeah, because we're looking at the boss and we're looking at Ivan, but then she's there. It's like, but I kind of thought the same thing briefly when I was like, Yeah. So yeah, that would be a good change.
Because it was interesting, because she goes, we only get one shot at this. And I'm thinking, what? Why are you all of a sudden on the bandwagon? Because before you were...
Yeah, don't...
Oh, I know the other thing. They keep showing her cup. And I think, why do they keep showing her drinking out of that that cup that matches the bag that the guy was suffocated with? I'm like, why do they keep showing that? I know it's her cup, but still, I just find it interesting that she's walking around with that cup. So
could be a tie-in.
Yeah, I don't know why. I just think that now I don't know that I trust her.
Now she's very suspect.
All right. Did you see any themes, or do you want to dig into the characters more, any of those relationships?
So I think like my one theme is like the secret keeping, Joe trying to keep this secret, but he's not doing a very good job because two people know about it. I'm like, Joe, you got to stop. You got that. Nobody else can know about this if you're trying to keep this quiet. And I thought, Gordo is content being dumb. Let him. He's playing dumb. He's fine. Let the man just be.
Well, Gordo is trying to convince Joe, you weren't there. You weren't there, Joe. You weren't there. And I'm like, oh my goodness, he's told you how many times you weren't there. Get it in your head.
Yeah. So I just think the more the people know, then the harder it is to keep that secret. And I understand, he can't talk to Emma about it because she's so upset. Understandably, she's upset. But then, like Gordo, his friend and his pal, and plus coworker, and he feels he can talk. Like, you're in this situation, you need someone to talk to talk about and things. So I understand what he's doing, but at the same time, it's like, just stop talking about it. It's going to get you caught.
I think it's hard for Joe to not tell the truth. I think even when he can't tell Washington the truth, I think it's really, really hard for him. He does it the best he can, but he just seems like he's a pretty truthful guy. And so I think that's why it's easy for him to talk to Gordo about
Mhm.
it. And like he said, I can't keep it from my wife, which I love.
Yeah.
I know it's probably not good for him, but if he was hiding it,
It'd be worse.
yeah, it'd be worse. So I just
Mhm.
think the fact that he just kind of came clean with her is what he should have done.
Mhm. Yeah.
I found it so hard. I know we're talking about the way to secrets, but I just found it so hard when she wasn't talking to him. I thought, oh gosh, when he tells her, "Oh, we caught," because they thought they had caught
Mhm.
the boy that killed Ernesto,
Mhm.
and she's just not talking to him.
Not even
She just,
listening. Just
yeah,
goes out the door. It's so
yeah,
sad. And I also think, like, not really with the secrets, just Emma in general. I thought of this when, he's been telling himself, that he left Vines and to the elements and whatever. And she's like, no, the land did not take him. You did that. I think that's another thing he's been telling himself to cope with this.
yeah, of
He does feel
course,
guilty. Obviously, he feels guilty. He knows it was the wrong thing to do. At the time, he didn't care, but to have her say that, really had to strike a nerve with him because he didn't want to hear that. And she's going to be the one to be honest with him.
yeah. But Joe could have just gone and killed him. I mean, just point blank. I think he was giving BJ Vines a chance because you never know, right? You just never know. And I think that's why he said that, because he's like, okay, will the elements, will this place take you, or will you be able to survive? Because who knows? There could be some people who could have survived that. It's not 100% that you were going to die. It's, and it could have been BJ Vines that was not working with him because of karma. You know what I mean? It could have been like if Joe was put in that same situation, would he have survived? Might have. He might have survived. He could have figured out ways, survival skills, whatever it could be. So, I think he did give him a chance it probably wasn't a likely chance, but I think it was still a chance, because if you had just killed him, then it would have just been, you murdered him.
And then Bernadette I tell you, she just keeps pressing, like she just keeps pressing her luck with like Spencer and his organization and everything like that. I just feel like I still just like, oh no, something bad's going to happen to her before the end of it. We still have 4 episodes and there's a lot of story to tell. So we're very concerned about her. She's just doing what she does. She investigates, she digs, she tries to find these things. But again, and I've said it on the previous episodes, that on the reservation, it's a little different. She knows that place. People know her, that kind of stuff. But here, people don't know, who she is, what she's doing. And here she is just coming in and starting all this trouble where they've always kind of just let it go or do whatever. And I just feel like something's going to happen.
I definitely think something's going to happen this next episode. I'm excited to see. I'm not sure what yet, but I know that there's going to be something that she's going to investigate, or she's going to uncover, or she's going to find. I mean, that's the next step. That is the next step that's going to happen here. So I see it happening. But with this particular episode, I'm just so just her and Chee. I finally, Chee was in it a lot. Like we had talked about it previously, and this was really, it wasn't centered on him, but he was in it so much more. The fact that he drove all that way. So I saw a lot of like second chances and missed opportunities as the themes here, and him trying to give it another shot, and him being vulnerable. And I thought it was interesting when he's telling her about Shorty. And even she says, that guy's a bully. What are you talking about? He took your land. He took your home. I didn't even realize that. I might have missed that originally, but I thought that was pretty interesting. I'm thinking, well, is she not showing you he's grown as a person? And maybe now he's shifted, and now he's like, oh, look, I miss her. I want to be with her. And it's interesting that she's pulling away, because I think she does feel something for him. And I think either she's scared or she wants to say, hey, I moved to a new place and I made it work. And look, I'm here with this new guy. The fact that she was in her house, in her couch, and he traveled that far and she still pushed him away, I thought that was kind of a big thing to say on her part. And then as she pushes him away and he goes, she goes directly to Ivan's house that night. And so she's really trying to convince herself to me. She's trying to convince herself of something. So yeah, I don't know how far that's going to go. Okay, it just went through my head. It's like something's going to happen. What if he dies? That Ivan dies. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. That could be, because that would be definitely something she would, I mean, even though she doesn't know him that well, it'd still be traumatic,
Yeah.
So, interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. I just keep going back to Emma. I just keep thinking about her as a wife. You just think of what you would do in that situation. And, her, I see where her loyalty, to Joe. It's one thing to support your spouse, but how far do you go to keep secrets that it could affect her as well if they find out she's lying? She could, suffer consequences for lying if she does say that, So I had a thought that, wonder if she'll leave or something. I don't know where she would go.
Not deal with it or not have to lie.
Then she just isn't involved. And
I think, I don't know, my thought when you said that is that she would lie for him, but she wouldn't like it, but she would do it, I think.
Yeah,
I don't know. But the trust between her and Joe is what's breaking because... Especially because she tells him, tell me what happened. I want to hear. And he has to explain it. Oh my gosh. When they were explaining that and he talked about JJ's death and I don't know if BJ Vines actually said it or if Joe was just putting in the words. But when he said, oh, those stupid Indians, they just they aren't worth anything, it broke my heart and I had a tear come out. I was so impacted by Joe talking and telling her that. I'm like, man, Zahn McClarnon is so good in this role. And I saw for your consideration, the Emmy. I don't know if you happen to see that. It was in between, right before the show came on, it had his Emmy, whatever you submit for the Emmys. It was almost like that. Hey, Emmy, take note of what's happening over here in Dark Winds with Zahn playing Joe. And they were showing parts of the season in Joe. And I thought, oh my God, please. That would just be so amazing. He's doing so good in this whole season and just being so vulnerable and so emotional and just all these struggles. I just love it. I just love his performance in this.
He's so good. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was teared up when he was telling her. And then you look at, I think it's Deanna playing Emma, or the tears are rolling down her face, hearing her as this character, hearing her husband say all these things. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is such an emotional moment for these two and as a couple and as the characters. I thought, oh my gosh, listening to your husband tell you something horrendous that he did. So that's just a really hard thing to do and to feel deceived by, by your husband, especially this long, because it's been 6 months since this happened and he's kept it. So,
yeah,
but he was trying to protect her too, I think, because the less she knows, the better it is for her. Yeah. I also saw, I don't know about you, but Power and Control with Budge, because I called him Barge last episode. I'm like, why? I'm like, Barge? How do you get Barge? But I switched to Budge. But he seems to be pulling so many strings behind the scenes. And same thing with Spencer. So, and also with Washington, because she knows what she's doing and she's playing power moves with Joe.
Yeah.
So, do you have any other thoughts, any other theories, although we've talked about some, or any takeaways?
I think a couple of things. I want to know more about the dig and what's all that, and then that when I was thinking of that, I thought, and that Teddy Isaacs, what does she know? Why was that she was so upset? Yeah. She was visibly upset. She, walked away, got in her car, and all this stuff. And so what, is it just the fact that they were boys and it's always sadder, it seems like people are, you're more sad when it's a child that gets hurt, or is there something deeper there that we'll learn about later? So she just popped back into my head when I was thinking about things, and I was like, oh yeah, what about her? And what does she know?
Yeah.
So, she may know something but hopefully we learn something soon about that, because it's driving me crazy.
I know.
So, and then also, like, with George Bowlegs, what is going on with him? Why is he running from, Joe and Chee? Why is he scared? Why won't he talk to them? Yeah. So it's just odd, because they were talking I guess that's the son though. Right. So it's like, why is he? Yeah.
Right. Where is he?
Yeah. But they haven't found a body. Who you would think that he would like sneak back to see his dad or something. I don't know. To let his dad know he's okay or whatever. So yeah, I want to know about him.
I want to know about him too. And I have been so curious about the dig. I have the same exact thoughts that you do. So, and it's killing me too. So hopefully they'll give us something. And one of the big things is like, who killed Ernesto? Because we thought it was the farm people, but then I really thought when Halsey was being interrogated, I believed him. And the reason I believed him is when he asked for immunity, he didn't ask for immunity about anything about Ernesto. He only asked about the drug part. And the drug part is less than murder. So why would you bring that up, if anything? Yeah. If you had something to give and trade with, you're not going to say, don't hold me liable for any murder or kidnapping. But he didn't say it. So I do not think that he was responsible for Ernesto. So again, going back to the dig people, because who was around when this happened? Or, how expansive is this? And I know we may not know that who killed Ernesto, because that'll probably be toward the very end. I'm assuming, it won't tie up until we get closer to the end. But, and who attacked Joe? How does it relate to these dig sites? Like I said, Suzanne being alive. And I'm so glad she was alive, because at first I thought, she was. And then I thought, well, maybe she's not. And so she is. And so she is another piece. And so I think Joe has to go back to her to talk with her some more to figure it out, because she felt really close to Ernesto also. So everybody has something about Ernesto. He must have something about him that was, that both Suzanne and Teddy found intriguing. Why haven't they talked about George? And why? I just feel like they should be looking for George. He's a kid. He's a kid and he's gone. Oh, man. Where is he?
Too much stuff happening.
I know. I just think it's bigger. And like you had mentioned about the dig site, did they uncover something? There's so much we still don't know. So we can only speculate so much, because I still think there's pieces that they haven't given us yet.
Yeah, we don't have enough yet to really come to any conclusions at all. but it's coming. So I'm excited to see what's next.
I hope something supernatural-ish is in play here. I don't know what it could be, but
maybe Spencer has some kind of witchy, like they had before, like, that he has up there, that he's having her do this stuff because he's got to keep everybody's mind over here so that he can, do his drugs trafficking. I don't know. That's a big stretch, but, it's just fun to think about.
I still think it has to do with the dig.
Yeah. Well, maybe he hires them to do the dig so they can release the thing and then
release the thing.
Whatever it is.
I know.
Creepy thing. I just keep thinking about how this season started and we're not there yet, right?
I know. I know.
And that was, Joe was going through it then. That was pretty rough. So I don't, whether that'll, be closer to the end or if we'll see that soon. But, we're not to that point yet. So it'll be interesting.
Because he does say, send everybody or something like that. And so
it's something.
And he looks, shook.
Yeah.
And I thought, is it going to happen when he was out doing the fuses? I thought, is it going to happen now? And then I thought it was going to happen when he went to the cabin. Is it going to happen now? It's like it has you every time. You're like, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? No, it's not happening. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So All right. Great episode. But let's get to our question of the day. What's more dangerous? Supernatural forces, an FBI agent closing in, or Budge DeBucca coming after you?
So I said Budge because there are ways to avoid the supernatural. There are ways to avoid the FBI. But I feel like no matter where you hide, Budge will find you. And from Spencer's own mouth, he said the man has no feelings. So it's nothing to him to get rid of somebody. So that was my easy answer.
I love it. I love it. That's pretty good. I mean, that's like scary and pretty good at the same time for the actor, right? Coming across like that.
Yes.
That's pretty good. It could be any of these. I'm always afraid of supernatural because I'm like, they can come get you when you don't even know it. And you're just like out of there, right? Because FBI agent. Okay, regular life, that would probably be the scariest, right? Because it feels like, oh my God, you're going to be in prison. They're going to take you and you're going to go away and they're going to lock the key. Okay, Budge, he's going to come and kill you with a bag or maybe a knife. I don't know. But but the supernatural, that's going to haunt you. So, okay, for me, I'm going with supernatural because freaks me out, man. Freaks me out. So, but any of them. All right, friends out there, what do you think? What would be the most dangerous to you? Please let us know. You can comment here wherever you're watching, or you can comment on social media. You can get to all of our social media at screensinfocus.com because we want to know what you think. You can also leave us a voicemail at 669-223-8542 because we want to hear from you. So please let us know. All right. So that is a wrap up of episode 4. Please come back for episode 5 where we are going to break it down with you. We are going to switch gears now and talk about our TV and movie recommendations. So Renee, I'm really, really excited to hear what your recommendations are.
Well, first I wanted to clarify something I said last week. I said that The Pit was on the season finale. It's not. I thought there were only, I think 13. I forget how many I thought, but I think there's 15 episodes. So I just wanted to clarify that. But this week, we watched the first episode of Mobland. So Tom Hardy, Pierce Brosnan, Helen Mirren, and a bunch of other people. I was like, oh, I know that person. Like a bunch of other faces I recognize. But it was, I liked it. It's just the one episode out right now. But, it's just a mob, families and what they're doing and their mob stuff. But it was fun how they did it. And
mob stuff. Sorry, I mouthed mob stuff. That's why.
I saw you. Well, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, it just cracked me up the way you said it, and so I had to say it. But people that are listening have no idea why you're laughing, so that's why.
So anyway, I thought it was good, and I'm excited to see more. So I liked Tom Hardy's character is really good, and I like he's kind of the central focus, at least in that episode. And I just thought they did a good job with it. So I'm excited to see more of that one. And then the other day I saw a headline. It says Marie Antoinette season 2. I'm like, what about season 1? Why did I not know about this? This is like something I would really like. So I looked it up, and it airs on like PBS Masterpiece or whatever that channel is. But then I read somewhere where it might be on Disney Plus or something, but I thought that was a weird pairing, but I don't know. So you just have to look. But yeah, it was really good. I watch a lot of period pieces, and I just like seeing the different ways people do they'll modernize them, they'll add in like modern music, or they'll do, just different things just to make it fun. But this one is just another, I think, well, how can they do this again? How many times have we seen something about, Marie Antoinette? Yeah. But yeah, it was very well done. And I did watch the whole first season, and I just really enjoyed it. And it's just a different perspective of how she could have been or whatever. And the costumes are just amazing, and her hair and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. And it was, I don't know, I didn't really recognize any of the actors or anything like that, but there's some really, really good ones. So yeah, I just recommended it. It was great. I can't wait to start season 2. we watched, I think there were 3 episodes. I think there's 3 episodes of Happy Face Out, and that's on Paramount Plus. And it's Anna Lee Ashford and Dennis Quaid, and he is a serial killer that he's in jail, and so that's the story. That's where he. It's not a secret. That's how it starts out. Like that's what happens, but then it's just all this, family dynamics and all these things that happen. And so far it's really good because I'm very excited to see what happens next. And it just kind of leaves you hanging, like what's happening next and things. And yeah, it's really good. I like it. So I think there's 3 episodes out so far on that one. And then I was looking through Hulu, and it gives you recommendations and things like that. And so The Boston Strangler came up. It's from 2023 with Keira Knightley and Carrie Coon, which I love both of them. But Carrie Coon, I really like her. She's in the Gilded Age, and I love her in that. She is just fabulous. So
she is in The White Lotus this
yes,
season.
she was. Yes, I just saw that recently too. Yeah. But I just thought there's something about her. I saw her in something else now. I can't remember what it was. Because it took me a minute to place her. I'm like, because Gilded Age, they all their hair all updos and all this kind of stuff. And then you see her with a modern hair, and it's like, wait, who is this person? So in this movie, so it focuses on the Boston Strangler, but also really focuses on these 2 journalists who they kind of fought against all the sexism in the 60s to get this out there, because these women were being murdered and no one wanted to cover it. And so it was really interesting to see a little different take on, again, another serial killer show or whatever, but it was a slower movie. Generally that doesn't keep me engaged. I don't like slow, but for some reason this one did hold me in, and I did watch it, and I thought it was pretty good. I liked the angle they took on it and stuff. So
I did watch that one a while ago, and I think I liked it too. And I liked the perspective, like you said, the journalism with these females in it. So I thought that was really good. And I was excited because I wanted to hear what you said about Mobland, because I almost watched it last night, but I had so many things on my Sunday list that I haven't even gotten through still, because there's a lot of things that come out on Sundays, and I thought, I'm just going to have to wait another day to watch Mobland. So I was curious to know what you thought about that. I didn't know Happy Face was a new show either, so that's good to know on that one. So I'll have to check those out. So I'm excited. So I saw The Studio, which is on Apple Plus TV. It's with Seth Rogen. So the premise isn't normally something that I would seek, because the premise is about making movies and how that goes about, in the background with people pitching ideas and just the inner workings. But it is really well done. There are so many actors in this, big time actors. It's crazy. Martin Scorsese plays himself, but he's still playing a role. And I've never seen him like an actor. And I was dying that he's in this comedy. I'm like, this is hilarious, because I don't want to give anything away, actually. So I'm not going to tell you, but just watching him, it was hilarious. Charlize Theron, just Paul Dano. The list goes on and on. I can't even tell you everybody, because it goes on and on and on. Catherine O'Hara, Catherine Hahn are both in it. It's really, really smartly written. The second episode is a oneer. So they shot it all in one shot, which I thought was interesting, because we just saw Adolescence and how that was filmed in one shot. And now we have this episode with Seth Rogen in it. So I thought, is this becoming a way that filmmakers are filming now? And what I am thinking about this is, if they do go that route, I feel like it gives so much credit, and more people are more aware of the other people that make a scene come together. Because I think when you watch something, you really only think about the actors and maybe the director, unless you know about filmmaking, right? And you think about the camera people or the editing or whatever. But I feel like if you see a oneer, you're like, oh my gosh, how did the lighting and how did how did they get everybody to come in and out? How did they get the extras to come in, or the other players in this? So it's just crazy how it all comes together so beautifully. So it was really, really well done. There's only been 2 episodes, and the second episode was so good. And I believe it comes out on Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing that I watch is The Residents. And I shared this with you, Renee, because Dave over at Squawking Dead emailed me and said, you must watch this. This is right up your guys' alley and figuring out a mystery. So I had to tune in. And it is smartly written. It is funny. It's, I don't know, I might get her name wrong. Is it Uzo Aduba, who played Crazy Eyes on Orange is the New Black? And she plays this quirky, eccentric detective who is trying to figure out a death that happened in the White House. So I liked it. What did you think, Renee?
Yeah, I just watched the first episode and I really liked it. Kind of like a whodunit kind of thing. I felt like, and I think they kind of poke fun at that at one point too. They talk about some other things with that. I like the characters that are the other people too are just so fun. All these different, off the wall characters that supposedly work at the White House, behind the scenes kind of thing, but they're all just
the pastry chef and just all kinds of people, and how everybody has a motive, right, to murder somebody for some silly reason of doing something or another. It's hilarious. So
I enjoyed it. I am excited to watch more of it.
Yeah. So I thought it was pretty good. Yeah. So that is on Netflix. And then I have to start watching The Last of Us season 1 rewatch. And so we watched the first episode so far, and I know we have quite a few to get through before season 2 comes out, but I thought it's been a while, so I think we should catch up. And let me tell you, I was riveted all over again. Even though I know what happens, I was like, on the edge of my seat. Man, it was good. So if you have not seen it at all, go watch it. And if you have seen it, go rewatch the first season. It's so good. I did watch a movie called The Life List. This is on Netflix. It's with Sophia Carson and Connie Britton. And it's about Connie, and this is not giving anything away. Connie Britton's character is, well, she's passed away, but before she died, her will was written. She has, I think it's, I can't remember Sophia's name in the show, but anyway, her daughter, and she has 2 sons, but she tells her daughter that she wants, before she can receive her inheritance, she has to complete this basically bucket list of items that she wrote out when she was 13, because she wants her daughter to like really live and find herself again. And so it's this young woman is on a journey of self-discovery and romance and all of that. So it's a really nice film. Yes, it's predictable. Okay. So don't go in thinking or don't come back saying, Diana said to watch this. Yes, it's predictable, but it was a fun watch. I love a good rom-com. And yes, I had tears at the beginning and at the end. So there you go. So I liked it. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Renee, good list, good recommendations list, good talk on Dark Winds. So thank you so much for joining me. It's been so much fun.
Well, thank you for having me. I love it.
I know. I can't wait for our next one.
I know.
All right. So that is a wrap. Be sure to come back next week. And thanks for joining us. We are so thrilled that you joined us. We hope we gave you a chuckle, a laugh, some inspiration. Remember to follow Screens in Focus at screensinfocus.com. Keep watching, keep exploring, and keep those screens in focus. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.